Hey, what's up, everybody? Video 44 coming at you in the video. All right, so the LA Lakers play the Phoenix Suns tonight, 10 Eastern, 7 Pacific, and it's going to be somewhere in the Valley of the Sun. It's not out here. I don't think it's actually at their arena, but some other arena somewhere close by, sort of like how we do when we have games at the various different arenas and stuff like that in California area. I think that's how this one goes. Expect for your starters to play three quarters tonight, Laker fans. We're going to try to simulate a real game through three quarters since the regular season is coming up in about 4 days. We do have a few players that are not going to be with us. Jared Vanderbilt definitely will not be suiting up tonight. And from what I understand, the Lakers did, in fact, waive some players that I didn't report on these last couple of days. Alvaro Ballman, I'm not sure how to pronounce his name. I'm sorry, forgive me. He was been waived. Damian Baugh was waived, and Scottie Pippen Jr. was waived by the Lakers. I hope that means he goes back to the big team, but maybe finds himself with a different team. I spent a good portion of my time talking about him in the last game. I was glad he was able to get some run out there and show what he could do, but we did in fact waive him. I have a thought about that. I think it further allows for Jalen Hood-Schifino to not have someone behind him at the point guard position hot on his tail. And I think with the addition of that player, we find ourselves in a space where I've questioned whether or not we should have used Scottie Pippen as that main point guard, and then from there drafted Cam Whitmore. We've had that conversation several times in this preseason. Getting rid of Scottie Pippen makes it so that you need the young fella more so. So I understand the justification of moving on from a backup point guard there. I don't know if it relates to what we're talking about, but to me, that's how it equates. It's like, we need not to have people asking if we should have drafted Cam Whitmore instead of Jalen. So this kind of solidifies that in a way, as well as puts our team in a position to have a bit less of a logjam with our guards. So I wish Scottie Pippen well. I hope he's able to land with the squad and continue his development. So tonight, the Phoenix Suns, you expect for them to play all three of their big three. Just like us, they want to try to simulate the regular season, since everything's really wrapping up here with the preseason being the finale here. And a few things that we've learned. First of all, I think it's a stat that I did not realize that is the case until right now. I just read that LeBron James and Kevin Durant haven't been on the same floor together, suited up at the same time, since 2018. So if they do in fact suit up tonight, that'll be the first time we've seen them in that long together on the same floor, which doesn't seem right to me. But that's the stat I just read. They ain't been on the floor together since. Also, you're looking at a situation where, just looking at the Lakers and what we've learned about our regular season team, or our preseason team rather, is that we can shoot the three ball pretty well. Over the last several years, we've had something on this channel called three-point discipline, and that's based on the limitations of what our personnel could do in regards to shooting the ball. It just didn't make a whole lot of sense for us to shoot over 30 three-point shots a game last year and the seasons prior with the way the team was constructed, because we just didn't have it like that. The guys we had just couldn't shoot like that. That is not the case anymore. We've brought in significant shooting help, and we should be able to launch it from behind the arc and hit a very good percentage, really, no matter how many we've shot. We've had games where we've attempted 36 three-point shots, 40 three-point shots, even 50 three-point shots, and have kept a very good percentage in this preseason. So that's encouraging to say that this may be the most talented three-point shooting team the Lakers have assembled around Bron and AD. One of the other pointers that I've read right now that I definitely agree with is just how good Anthony Davis, Taurean Prince, D'Angelo Russell, and a few others have really looked on this team. They've just really shined. You want to see the continuation of us using those players, because at the end of the day, if they're going to start the season hot, we want to ride the wave until they cool off. So a guy like D'Angelo Russell has basically been playing like an all-star in the preseason. I'd like to see him in this preseason healthy and have that same energy going into Denver. Anthony Davis, of course, we see him, his conditioning is where it needs to be, so that translates to him being one of the best players in the world. So long as he's healthy and fresh, top 10 player in the league. That's not even arguable. He's one of the best defensive players in the game, and when he's offensively in shape, and when his offense is running through him properly and the shots are falling, He can be a top 10 offensive player as well. It's just proven at this point. It's all about conditioning, freshness in regards to his day-to-day health, knick-knack injuries and stuff like that, not overworking him and things like that. And then from there, just getting him into a system that allows him to shoot the shots he needs to take, and allowing those to fall. I think what we've also learned is that we can run some very, very versatile lineups with the way that we've constructed the team this year. Got to take your hat off to our GM for putting together so much length next to Anthony Davis. You definitely love seeing what Christian Wood has been doing, and Jackson Hayes as well, and even Colin Castleton. They just really help in various different ways, with Castleton being an offensive rebounder and a hustle guy. Jackson Hayes using his athleticism to help on the boards and tip ins and dunks and things of that nature. And then, of course, Christian Wood's just an uber talented offensive talent who can really, really fill it up at any given moment. So I've seen the Lakers try to feature him in certain moments of the game, and it's been very successful for us. We've been able to use him much better than the Dallas Mavericks were able to use him early on thus far. So hopefully that continues. He stays healthy, and we continue to have that length out there that can really, really help us score and make up for when Anthony Davis may not be up for scoring as much, or maybe doesn't have it, or what have you. I like the fact that AD's been attempting more threes. We've been having him attempt at least 2.5 threes throughout the course of this preseason. I'd like him to continue to keep that where it is, or even higher, because at the end of the day, it's not really a form issue for him. It's just that he shoots them so far and in between that the reps aren't there for him to be a consistent three-point shooter, and thus has been a bad three-point shooter by way of the numbers. But if you look at his form and the way that he's able to get him up, there shouldn't be a reason he can't hover above 33% for his season if he shoots them consistently, and we work that into our overall equation. Very happy to see Cam Reddish come back from his rolled ankle. That looked like that was going to keep him out for the preseason. He's been back. Although he hasn't looked that great, the most important thing is that he's able to get some preseason reps to make sure that he is able to work himself into the equation with the Lakers. And we know throughout the course of an 81-game season, he'll have his moments where he'll play well. So we're not worried about that. I've been very pleased with his counterparts at the small forward position. Taurean Prince has been looking excellent, hitting shots, working his way through the foul trouble that he had early in the preseason, finding ways of continuing to be that vet that we need him to be, strongly in his prime, and look like he's playing some of the best ball of his career for us right now in the preseason. So I'm excited about Taurean Prince. Couple that with my excitement for Max Lewis, who has exceeded my expectations for our squad. He just makes good decisions, hits good shots, and you can clearly see why he was a fantastic player at Pepperdine, who was relied upon for scoring. He can really, really complement our team early on as his development begins. I'm excited about him as a rookie. Obviously LeBron James has been having inconsistent minutes, unfortunately, so you haven't really had a chance to see the King play consistently. And to me, I think that might be a mistake, honestly. With the conditioning that he looks like he's in this year, I wouldn't coddle him away from playing until he shows me that he needs that. That's my point of view on LeBron. If he's in the best shape he's been in 3 years, then the only thing I want LeBron to do is continue to work that conditioning on the basketball floor. So I have a different point of view on Bron. I think he should play every game. Play every game until the knick-knack injuries come. And then we'll rest him when those injuries need to be rested. But until then, he should be like this. Consistency is key for the King, in my opinion. It's all about that very consistent Groundhog Day, get him out there and let him play type energy. And then you rest him, give him 30 minutes a night, but make sure he's playing 81 games. I think that's the only way he's going to be able to truly stay in the shape he needs to stay in. Because if we keep making it so that he's only playing 54 games, his body's getting used to that from year to year to year, it's almost like it's harder for him to get back to who it is that he ultimately has been his whole career. And when you've been this way your whole career to where you're an Iron Man, you don't need to not play more. You need to just get back into the rhythm of being like a clock. And so that's my intention to kind of share with you guys. I just think that we're playing LeBron James the wrong way. He should have played in every preseason game, every last one of them. And I really believe that. Age be damned. It ain't about that. It's about what his body reacts to. And what he mostly reacts to is consistency. And what he mostly has trouble with is recovery from inconsistency. And that's what I've learned from Bron over the last 6 years of watching him play for us. I think that all in all, what we have here is a good mixture of veterans, young players, and guys who are entering their prime have with something to prove. Guys who have just been paid, that should be comfortable, having settled in, with guys like Rui Hachimura, Vanderbilt, obviously Austin Reeves, are signed for many years, and then you got guys like Taurean Prince, who are fighting for their opportunities. Gabe Vincent, who just signed a deal with us. I think it was for 3 years, so you might want to put him in there with the guys who are consistent and ready to go in terms of their future with the Lakers. Guys like Jalen Hood-Schifino, Max Christie, Max Lewis, young guys, as we've mentioned, Jackson Hayes, guys like Christian Wood, who are trying to find their way into a long-term deal with our squad. You just got a good mixture of guys with different motivations in regards to their personal circumstances, but the ability to bring those motivations together for a common goal. Because at the end of the day, for everybody to get what they want, this Los Angeles Lakers team has to win a championship, in my opinion. We got the depth to do it, arguably, if not definitely the most deep team in the league. I got us up there with the Utah Jazz and the Oklahoma City Thunder as the deepest teams in basketball right now. And I just think that it's going to translate very well to us being able to withstand injury if they come. We got the length, we got the speed, we got the size, the ability to put small ball lineups on the floor without having small players on the floor, which I think is a testament to the construction of our team being an improvement from last year. Significant improvement from last year. And just defensive players that can come down there and get specific stops in certain situations, and then the ability to reinforce an offensive identity that allows for us to score 135 points. So there's a whole lot this Laker team can do, just looking at the construction of it. And with us now being able to stretch the floor a bit better, you can clearly see where guys are going to have more space than they've ever had before. The guy like Taurean Prince has already mentioned it's the most space he's probably had in his entire career. Guys like D'Angelo Russell are thriving this season based on the spacing that everybody creates by being a threat in that way. And I can only imagine it's going to continue to line up for success for everybody, so long as our key players that create that space are healthy and hitting shots. So this is a team that I know, if we reach our highest potential and our guys are able to stay healthy, we're going to be a contender. At the end of the day, regardless of where people are lining us up on the pecking order or whatever the heck, it doesn't really matter, because at the end of the day, as I've said, we can withstand injury more so than most of these teams. And it's an optical illusion that the Los Angeles Lakers need their core to be healthy in order to win games in the regular season. I don't believe it'll equate to that at all. When you got players that can do more this year, independent of Bron and AD, together, which is what I think the Lakers were lacking some of the years in the past. Some of the players that we had on our team were only constructed so that they can complement AD and Bron, not necessarily complement one another in different rotations. This team has the ability to be cohesive without AD and Bron on the floor at all. And that should make it so that the core is somewhat of a complement to the overall system that we can run and the overall construction of the team. So we built it the right way. And I think that it will allow for guys like AD and Bron to rest from injuries, to allow for other guys to develop, and we'll have an identity of a developing basketball team simultaneously while being a winning basketball team. You could put a whole lineup of kids on the floor and expect for good things out of them because of how talented they are and how well they fit together. Guys like Jackson Hayes, Jalen Hood-Schifino, Max Christie, Max Lewis, you can have that lineup on the floor, Austin Reeves, Rui Hachimura. You can have that lineup together, and they can be as good as your Washington Wizards. And we ain't even mention our vets. You see what I'm saying? So in my humble opinion, that's what we have, is an 8-man rotation, independent, completely independent of our core. So I think that's going to catch some teams off guard who aren't expecting us to be very good, or expecting us to be very good independent of the core. And our place in the power rankings should rise as the season progresses, so long as we can stay healthy, because we're going to impose our depth on teams, and it's going to be hard for teams to keep leads against us. Speaking of keeping leads, it was hard for us to keep leads in this preseason. Now, granted, that was an optical illusion because we were putting players on the floor that we expected to struggle throughout the course of trying to close out basketball games. I think that was the point for our coaching staff, try to let the starters get us a substantial lead, and then let the youngsters try to come in and close out the game. And a lot of times we would end up losing those games. We are now 2-3 in the preseason, and I think we've had a lead in just about every game we've played. So I do believe that if the Lakers get away from that in the regular season, I think we'll not only win games, we'll probably blow teams out. We just got to figure out what our rotation will be, and I think I like the way that we've done it because it allows for guys to get the playing time that they need, that they ultimately likely won't get in the regular season. But we do have to knock off some of those habits that allow for us not to win these basketball games, or we will get off to a slow start. So I think that that's under control. Like I said, you haven't seen our starters in the second half. You most definitely will as the season progresses in the regular season. And my interest is just that we close games out. You know, we start off with these big old leads, 18-point leads, 15-point leads, hitting shots from behind the arc. We need to have good second halves, particularly third quarters, to start where the Lakers have been notoriously inconsistent. And we talked about it a lot. Anthony Davis coming in out of the halftime locker room, not necessarily with the energy and this, that, and the third in the past. We want to see a change in that way. We want our team to be intentional on coming out of the locker room in the second half with the same energy they start the game with, and close the game out with the same energy that they come out in the halftime locker room. So these are the type of things that we remember from the identities past. Of course, we got new players, but we do have the same core, and we need to have a new attitude with that. So that's my attitude. You know, I'm excited about doubling back to LeBron James. I just think his conditioning is where it needs to be when you consider him coming back from the foot. I like that it looks like he's lost some weight. I like that it looks like he's a bit more spry out there than he has been in the past couple years. And I just think that gets him off to a much better start to condition himself throughout the course of a long season. Anthony Davis, same thing. You can clearly see where his workouts have been working in his favor. And he looks night and day in compared to where he was 3 years ago coming in, where we said he had grandmama legs. He looked like he had been eating sandwiches and sitting down all offseason. That's not how he looks right now. He looks like he's in great shape, and I'm super excited about both of them possibly making all-star teams this year. Both Bron and AD earning their way into the all-star team. Obviously, Bron will probably be voted in anyway, but I think they'll, you know, as long as that conditioning stays the way it looks like it is right now, I'm excited about our team and our core winning and doing good things with themselves individually. So D'Angelo Russell, that's another one. One of the reasons why we've looked so good is because his conditioning is where it needs to be. He's been hitting shots. He's been making plays on both sides of the floor. He looks as good as he's looked since Brooklyn. And so my hope is that he doesn't pick up any knick-knack injuries. We're going to have to monitor him to make sure that he remains fresh, because a better version of him turns us into basically an unbeatable basketball team, if I'm being completely honest with you. So that's my thing. If he's playing like an all-star, it's night for most of the league. They're not going to be able to beat us. I know that sounds cocky, but him at an all-star level makes us a little too good for most teams we're going to run into. So tonight we're going to run into a real team, though. This is not one of those teams where I would honestly say that falls into place with, obviously, Kevin Durant, Bradley Beal. You're looking at DB down there. Those guys are going to definitely be looking to light it up. And they do not have a shallow basketball team. They have bench players and role guys that have made their names elsewhere, guys with upside and various different players that I think can help and complement them. I do believe the Phoenix Suns will be right there in the end. If it ain't us, it'll be them. If it ain't them, then Denver found a way to overcome their shallow nature. I think that those are the three teams that you really got to pay attention to in the Western Conference early on. And of course, other teams will emerge. But those are the three teams that I think we need to be paying very close attention to. And of course, the Golden State Warriors are a team that you always want to pay attention to, so long as their core is healthy. Their young players are getting better too. So this is a very, very strong Western Conference. I think that we're one of the teams that need to be taken seriously for the championship amongst them. And I like our depth as much as I like anybody's. I really do. And so that's really where my head is right now as we go into this Phoenix Suns matchup. I just want us to stay healthy, man. This isn't, even though we are simulating a regular season game, we need to remember that this game does not count. You can do whatever you want to do out there, win or lose. It's not a regular season game. Our regular season starts after this, so we must maintain our discipline in staying healthy, and we must maintain our intensity in regards to preparing for the regular season. If we keep that balance tonight, we'll be pleased with the outcome. So that's really what it is, man. Everybody enjoy the final preseason game. Of course, I have something for you at halftime and at the end of the game, since there should be no disruptions, unlike the last two preseason games where I just couldn't get it going. This should not be that. And I'm very much excited about getting this regular season started. We got an in-season tournament coming up within the next couple of weeks. I think it starts up at the beginning of November. So we'll have something competitive to watch early on in the season, which I wonder if that's a little misguided, given the fact that teams will still be learning one another. I don't know if that's the time to really have an in-season tournament, but that's when they're putting it together, and we'll see how that experiment goes and if it's something we want to continue to see going forward. And we'll figure out how that all slots in and makes sense as we learn how that goes. But for the time being, just finishing off this regular season, the matchup against the Phoenix Suns somewhere in Arizona, and health is everything, man. Let's stay healthy. I want to see Jalen Hood-Schifino make some shots, man. I know it's the preseason. I know he's 19 years old. I know that's not his game necessarily to be scoring like that. He's a guy who's a pure point guard who's going to rebound the ball, get others involved, man up defensively. He's a sturdy point guard. But the problem, and the only problem the young fella's going to run into for the next several years, is being compared to the guys that were passed up on for him to be a Laker. Cam Whitmore specifically, and anybody else that comes about after that. Leonard Miller, who had a fantastic game a couple days ago. A few other guys the Lakers could have taken that they didn't take because they wanted Jalen. I want Jalen to succeed, man. And I just understand that he's up against it in ways that are not fair because of how this went. So for him, it's about hitting shots. If he can just find a way to get his mid-range shot going, which is where his strength really lies, and continue to contribute in other areas when the shot is not falling, I think he can shake off a lot of the haters and the doubters who are going to call him out for not being as good as a guy like Cam Whitmore or what have you. So that's my concern about Jalen. I just don't think his confidence is going to get off to the right start on this franchise because of who we passed up on to get him. It wasn't nobody's fault. The Lakers did what they thought they should, and nobody's expecting him to have a better career than a Cam Whitmore, because Cam Whitmore just simply should not have fallen on draft day. There was no real reason for that. But unfortunately, this is how it lines up. The Lakers had an opportunity to get old Cam and passed on him to get the young fella Jalen Hood-Schifino. And it's going to be incumbent upon Jalen and the Lakers, more so the Lakers, to create a comfortable environment for Jalen from which to succeed. We've seen point guards in this uniform not have good, confident careers here. We know names shall not be named, but guys got off to a bad start because of the scrutiny of playing that position and not living up to whatever the expectations were. I don't want that for the young fella. He seems like a good guy, a poised basketball player who should be capable of developing into a winner. And so that's what I want to say about Jalen Hood-Schifino. Hopefully all things work out for him tonight, where he can get a few shots to fall, as to where he hasn't really been able to do that throughout the course of this preseason. So that's really the thought right there, man. Good luck to everybody. Health is everything for both teams. We just want to end this preseason properly. So that's what I got to say. My name is BDL44. I thank you all for watching, and I'm out.